On July 26, 2024, the Walt Disney Company will release their most vulgar cinematic production of all time. Arguably, depending on who you ask.
It was glorious. Once in a generation, a movie comes along that your whole family will love. If your family is a up group of kissing inbreds.
Stop it, too. You killed it.
This will be Wade Wilson's third appearance on the silver screen. If we elect to ignore his introduction in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Remember how let down people were by that version of Deadpool?
Hey, it's me!
This wasn't even the first time that fans had the rug pulled out from underneath them. It was almost a running gag on X-Men the Animated Series that whenever Deadpool showed up, it was actually someone else entirely. Of course, bad jokes and running gags are kind of Deadpool's thing. When the Merc with the Mouth isn't shouting, "Chimichangas!" or forcing awkward one-liners down his opponent's throat, you can regularly find him breaking the fourth wall for comedic effect.
All right, I'm about to learn you. Okay, this is Stern, and Stern put out a premiere game based on Rob Liefeld's character, Deadpool. You ever heard of Rob Liefeld?
Yeah.
You should. Yeah, you should, yeah. What other pinball machine has a katana? You know.
Time out. The fourth wall represents an invisible barrier between an actor and their audience. Who sits in a chair like this?
Essentially, a stage contains three walls: the backdrop, stage left, and stage right. The unseen fourth wall is the area from which we, the audience, view the production. Now, while typically we can view the actors, their characters aren't aware of the audience thanks to this fourth wall. But every once in a while, an actor may violate this invisible wall in order to engage the audience. Like in Peter Pan. When Tinkerbell's light begins to fade, Peter needs to prove that people still believe in fairies. In most productions, he pleads with the audience to help save Tinkerbell by clapping their hands.
Oh, please, please believe. If you believe, wherever you are, clap your hands and she'll hear you. Clap! Clap! Don't let Tink die! Clap!
Merry Christmas.
Breaking the fourth wall exists in cinema as well. Remember Alfred Hitchcock's horror classic, Psycho? At the very end of the film, Norman Bates sits alone at a police station. And while his mother's voice whispers inside his head, the killer looks up and peers through the camera lens, smiling at the audience. It's a terrifying way to end a movie. Breaking the fourth wall is often used, and maybe overused, in comedy as well. Bugs Bunny is somewhat notorious for breaking the fourth wall, like in the iconic short, What's Opera, Doc? This segment actually hijacks a number of theatrical tropes, but for our discussion, let's look at how the cartoon ends. While Elmer Fudd carries the lifeless body of this cadaverous cottontail, Bugs sits up and addresses the audience.
Well, what did you expect in an opera? A happy ending?
This kind of break adds an additional comedic beat to an overly dramatic scene and helps to address how silly this entire segment is. Walt Disney Animation attempted to create their own Warner Brothers production, so to speak, with The Emperor's New Groove.
Can you top me off, pal? Be a friend?
The style of comedy in this movie would be heavily inspired by the Looney Tunes. So obviously, the movie would engage in some fourth wall breaking as well.
Hi, excuse me. 2 seconds here. I'm the one in the car, remember? This story's about me, not him. Okay, you got it? All right, we're gonna move ahead. Sorry to slow you down.
Now, for my money, the films of Melvin James Brooks are a masterclass in breaking the fourth wall. There's that reoccurring gag in Mel Brooks' History of the World, Part 1.
It's good to be the king.
Heck, in Blazing Saddles, the entire cast essentially annihilates the fourth wall, escaping the confines of a theatrical production. The film's villain, Hedley Lamar, purchases a ticket to Blazing Saddles to see how the movie ends. If you're a fan of action movies, The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger is just kind of one big fourth wall break. That said, the ability to break the fourth wall is typically assigned to a single character at most, rather than an entire cast. It's also good to use the technique sparingly, or else it might lose the desired impact and grow stale. Comedian Jim Carrey has done his fair share of fourth wall breaking. In fact, there are several moments in The Grinch That Stole Christmas that break the fourth wall.
Kids today, so desensitized by movies and television.
But if we're gonna talk about green characters breaking the fourth wall, we gotta talk about the queen of comic book satire, Jennifer Walters. That's right, She-Hulk started using this comedic technique in her solo series well before Deadpool had even been created. Issue number 5 of her solo series, written and penciled by the legendary John Byrne, sent the sensational She-Hulk into a television set where she meets Fred Flintstone, Barney, and Wilma. Turns out the evil Dr. Bong had obtained the ability to alter the form and substance of what was being broadcast. Unfortunately, She-Hulk, being a comic book character, was at a unique disadvantage. That is, until she decides to use her unique ability to break the fourth wall. On page 23, she tears through the paper and traverses a 2-page advertisement in search of her enemy. The rest of the entourage seems absolutely dumbfounded, but for Jennifer Walters, it's just another wacky adventure in a monthly comic book. Byrne must have been a huge fan of animation because in issue number 33, The Simpsons make a brief but awkward cameo before She-Hulk invites us back into her adventure. She chats with the reader a bit and even pokes fun at the iconic X-Men artist, Jim Lee. Now, since we're back on the topic of Marvel's Merry Mutants, let's circle back to Deadpool. While I love She-Hulk, there's no reason Marvel can't have 2 comical characters breaking the fourth wall.
All right, let's see.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
And while this Deathstroke knockoff may not be my favorite character, I could definitely point out a few stories I've enjoyed, if you're interested. The Circle Chase was my first introduction to the character. Writer Fabian Nicieza gives a fun, if a little clustered conflict featuring characters like Juggernaut, Black Tom Cassidy, and a cybernetic psycho known as Slayback. The art in this one is pretty amazing and led to my lifelong appreciation of artist Joe Madureira. I also remember enjoying Deadpool's original ongoing series. Joe Kelly and artist Ed McGuinness make an incredible team. Oh, and check out Uncanny X-Force if you enjoy seeing Wade Wilson team up with characters like Archangel and Wolverine. Logan always seems to find creative ways of dealing with this merc with a mouth.
Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Now, if you're looking to experience their first encounter, check out Wolverine issue 88. It's not a great book, but the art's pretty good for the first half of the issue thanks to Adam Kubert. And that cover, I absolutely love it. Hopefully we've got even more to look forward to in Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. But for those of you who don't absolutely love Wade Wilson, focus on Hugh Jackman's return and finally getting to see him strutting his stuff in a comic-accurate costume.
I am soaking wet right now.
Now, before we go, I'd like to hear from you. How do you feel about characters like Deadpool breaking the fourth wall?
You're still here.
Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it fun? Is it overused?
It's over.
Let us know in the comments section below this video. And if you had fun, please drop a like and consider subscribing to Retro Spectrum so you don't miss a single episode of Details.